And we're preparing for that denial.
We do that also. We have them fill out a review form. We actually have them time their exam, state whether they were disrobed or not, what the doctor did, because I use it later on to fight for those bills, to make sure.
I don't think anybody fights as hard as you for those bills either. You have a program that you put together.
Yes.
So what's that about?
Yes, it's an arbitration program. We make sure that all of our injured patients get the care that they really deserve. What we're finding is that these insurance companies are setting these patients up for these exams in 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
yeah,
4 weeks.
absurd.
You can't heal a cut on your hand in 2 to 3 weeks. And these people have these extensive injuries, and then as soon as the insurance company finds out about it, they send them to their doctors, they cut them off, they tell them they're fine. So we make sure that the patient continues to treat as long as it's necessary. We do any diagnostic tests that we need to do, objectively demonstrate that the patient really was injured and collect the paperwork. And then later on, we continue to treat and we don't take any money from the patient.
Right.
And when the care is finished, and
they've reached maximum improvement.
Exactly. And
benefit.
We file for arbitration. Arbitration is a forum,
Yeah, sure.
Instead of going to the court systems are so backlogged it would take 2 to 3 years to resolve it in court. So we file with the American Arbitration Association, and we bring these big insurance companies to this forum, which is in lieu of a court system,
right.
that we fight those bills.
And you've already treated the patient, and now you want to get paid.
Continue to treat them after they've been cut off and their insurance company won't.
What percentage of those arbitrations would you say you win?
Well, we settle about 50 to 60% of them for about 75, 80%, which that in itself saves those insurance companies a ton of money. And we lose some money, but for the sake of the patient and for my business, that's what we do. And then the rest of them, we end up going to an arbitration.
So if I'm an insurance company, why not try to cut off treatment as early as I can? And maybe down the road I'll be in an arbitration, and maybe I'll end up paying 50 cents on the dollar to resolve the claim, and it's a win-win for me.
Right.
What's amazing is if you look at the language of the no-fault statute, the insurance company is required to pay for any treatment that is deemed medically necessary, reasonable, and is related to the accident. Okay, so that's really that three-part test, where they. It's very hard for them to say that an injury is not related to the accident if you were, right after the accident you're complaining of neck pain or back pain or shoulder pain, and now you're treating for that. They're going to lose every time. Of course, there are always exceptions if you have an extensive history, whatever. But in general, they're going to lose there. The question is what's reasonable and what's medically necessary, right? Well, as long as you're submitting your bills in accordance with the fee schedule, they can't argue that it's not reasonable. Medically necessary is they're out. That's what I see. And that leads us to these peer reviews. And, in the more serious injury cases where I have a client with a tear, let's say, in a knee or a shoulder and needs surgery, and now you have an insurance company taking that bill and submitting the records with the bill along to one of their doctors to not examine the client but to review the file. And they'll pay that doctor probably $500, I would guess, and maybe save themselves thousands.
That's my biggest gripe with this system is that they spend millions of dollars not to pay for health care, where give it to the providers who want to take care of their patients, give it to the patients who really need the care, but we know ultimately that they want to prevent the patient from meeting threshold.
Oh, that's the thing. That's the inherent problem in this system. The two parts to no fault. The first part, you get these benefits. The second part, you've got to reach this burden of proving that your injury is serious, or you're not entitled to be compensated from some other insurance company for your pain and suffering. So generally, across the board, that accident victim is really getting screwed. Basically, to put it as bluntly as I can. And as the attorney for many of these accident victims, it's very hard for me to explain to them that it's their own insurance company in many cases, because the no fault's coming from the car they're in, which very often is their own car, and their own insurance company is even though these people have paid their premiums, have never had an accident before, been with this company for 20 years, now, lo and behold, they need the treatment, and the insurance company is, trying to deny them. But it used to be that we had 90 days to submit an application for our clients.
Right.
They cut that down to 30 days.
Right.
You used to have 6 months to submit your bills?
Yes.
Now it's down to 45 days?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, 45 days.
45 days, yes.